amount of time, about a minute. I had no watch with me. I'm going to watch the first minute, and I'm going to ingrain in my brain exactly what he's doing. And I'm going to go over and over and over and over and over and over again. And the next night or the next year, I'm going to come back and watch the next minute and find out. But absolutely to no avail. I don't know. I'm not convinced that the Rebbe did it the same way every time. I do believe he did not. He not necessarily, but just to imagine the Rebbe standing, pouring wine back and forth and back and forth. And the Olam, the congregation, the group that are there, are singing with Keli Ato V'Yoideko Eloikaya Rimemeko Keli Ato V'Yoideko Eloikaya Rimemeko. Now there's a way how you sing it when you're in a shul and you're saying Hallel on Yom Tov, nobody's singing loud. And there's sort of another way you're singing it as you just had 4 cups of wine, and you're standing in front of the Rebbe, and the Rebbe's pouring back this Kosher Eliyahu, and going back and forth, the wine from the cup to the wine flask to his cup to here, back forth, all going all around, and you're singing and watching that. Then the Rebbe would. This would be the end of this. This is the end of the seder. The seder is is all over, and the Rebbe is now gathering together. He's got his seder, and he took his becher. He had his becher. He went down with that, and I suppose he had his wine with him also. I don't remember exactly what he had in hand. And of course, everybody ran downstairs to get to the Rebbe's door. The Rebbe's door is right at the bottom of the stairs. Bottom of the stairs, there's one flight of stairs down. Maybe 2 flights of stairs, but one long flight of stairs coming down, one long flight of stairs, and then the Rebbe's door. And then everybody would run down and be downstairs, standing next to the Rebbe's door. And then the Rebbe would come out of the room, the previous Rebbe's home, for where we had the seder. And then as he would come to the stairs, he would be standing on top of the stairs and perhaps stop for a few seconds while everybody was singing the whole time. They didn't stop singing Keriata Veideka. So everybody was at the bottom of the stairs, and everybody was singing again. This is 1 o'clock in the morning, and this is after 4 cups of wine, and this is coming from the heart, and this is the Seder night. This is Leil Shimurim, the night when God Almighty guards us. This is the night of the big miracle, and we're standing in front of the Rebbe. The Rebbe is standing on top of the stairs, and everybody's singing Keriata Veideka. And the Rebbe walks down slowly, step by step. Everybody's singing, and the Rebbe comes to the bottom of the stairs, takes out his own key from his own pocket. Nobody opened up the door for him. He opens up the door was open a little bit, and everybody stands at the door, open a little bit, singing Keliato Veideka. And I have to tell you, let me just continue if you don't mind. And I told you before that as the minhag is, I believe it's a minhag which is everybody keeps this minhag in terms of speaking at the seder and going over and teaching and speaking, and of course the previous Rebbe did. But the Rebbe brings down the Haggadah that the first night, the second night, the first night we do it a little quicker. And we don't, no great amount of time is spent in terms of talking, but to finish early before Chatzos, be very careful of that. And the first night, but however, and this is brought down in the Haggadah, the Rebbe writes, is the second night, perhaps, or not perhaps, but actually, there's more talking, there's more discussion, going late into the night. So again, the Rebbe did not speak at all, or didn't speak publicly, didn't speak as he spoke, but it didn't say anything in terms of teaching Torah in the upstairs. That was the place of his father-in-law, of the previous Rebbe. That was very sacred. But so the second night, what would happen is, after the Seder, the Rebbe would go downstairs to the place of the Farbrengen, where we'd Farbring, and come down and Farbring. Farbring, we know Farbring, you've got to have something to eat. Of course, you can't have anything to eat after the Seder. We don't even drink water, according to the minhag of Chabad. And again, this is a group of people, certainly a few hundred people for sure, who just finished the Seder, just finished 4 cups of wine, and the Rebbe would speak, and the Rebbe came down with his Haggadah, and would open it up and would teach. And many of these teachings have been printed and available for learning. Beautiful, but just again the site, just to be there that particular time of the many Farbrengens throughout the year. But that was a very, very special time to be at a special Farbrengen after the 4 cups at night. And again, that was only the second night. And all of this was only all of this happened, the eating on the second floor was only until the passing of the previous Rebbe's wife, the Rebbe Sinucha Medina, which was in Tafshin Lamed Aleph, which was 1971. And after that, the Rebbe did not go up there anymore for the eating, and the Rebbe continued on in his house, etc., as we know the history of in his house. And then the very last year, the 770, as we know, I'm not going into that. I just want to tell you one more item, if I could, one more thought, and that is that after the Seder, as I told you, the Rebbe's mother, Rebbe Chana, was at the Seder, and the Rebbe's wife, the Rebbe Mushka, was at the Seder in another room, and the Rebbe after the Seder, and I don't know if it was both nights of every year, but I remember the Rebbe going home. And the Rebbe's mother, Rebbe Chana, she lived and had an apartment for the last many years, of course, on Pleasant Street on the corner of Kingston Avenue. And the Rebbe wanted, obviously, to walk home with his mother and also with his wife. But they did not walk together as a threesome. They didn't walk together, the three together. So the Rebbe would walk with his mother, and there were very few times when we saw the Rebbe walk in the street with his mother. Because on Yom Tov, there was those who took the Rebbe's mother home after the davening, whether it was either Bel Yunik or I remember, or Mrs. Rebbe Sementik Aleha Shalom, and then that's a story for itself. The Rebbe coming to the door and watching his mother go, but that's for another time. But the Rebbe did not those times walk his mother home. After the Seder, he did. So he'd walk his mother home to her apartment, and then the Rebbe's wife, the Rebbe Chaim Mushka, she would go out 770 after they had left. A little while after they left, she'd come out of the 770. She came out down from the upstairs, and she would go around the corner, actually in the opposite direction of her home. Coming out of 770, turn right to Kingston Avenue, and she would wait on the corner of Union Street, Kingston Union, for her husband, for the Rebbe, to come back. He took his mother home, President and Kingston. He would come back, and then he would walk with Rebbe Chaim Mushka down Union Street to Brooklyn, make a left on Brooklyn, and then to President Street. And I do remember one time, and I cannot tell you exactly what year it was, but the Rebbe met his wife on the corner of Union Street and on the corner of Union and Kingston Avenue, corner of Union, and they walked together very slowly. And I was walking behind them, at a safe distance behind them. It was very late at night, must be 1 o'clock in the morning, and I could hear them talking. What they were saying was not interested to know what they were saying, and I know they were speaking either Russian or French, whatever it was. But as they're walking down Union Street, I think this was in Tafshin Chafaz, 1961. When they came to the place which became the Kollel. Now that building, which is directly behind 770. 770 facing Eastern Parkway, and this is the building facing Union Street, which is directly, exactly behind the 770. There had been a lot of talk of exactly the Lubavi is going to buy that building. There was a thought to make an extension of 770. But the Rebbe and his wife stopped behind that building, and I stopped behind them a long distance. And they were talking, and I have to tell you, for maybe 15, 20 minutes, there was discussion between the Rebbe and his wife, and it was motioning with the right hand, with the left hand. Obviously, very, very obviously, they were talking about a plan that if they could build extension to 770, and it was motioning to the right, to the left, here, there, exactly what they said. Couldn't possibly hear what they were saying. But they were obviously talking about that, having a very animated, in other words, a full discussion. This is 1:30, maybe 2 o'clock in the morning, after the Seders, and perhaps even after the Rebbe finished the Farbrengen, and they had a discussion, and then they continued on home. So, my friends, if I could think of anything else, perhaps we'll have another opportunity to come together. And I appreciate your hearing what I've said. I'm sure when I leave, I'll think of some things that I should have said, I could have said, would have said. But again, Rabbi Shalom give us an opportunity to talk together. You hear from others, things you want to hear. And we should only have good and happy things to tell each other. And we should all have the Seder with the Rebbe very, very soon. Mashiach Tzidkenu b'meher b'yameinu b'karev mamish.